Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I talk about cameras, photography, and all that good stuff. Today we are going to do another tier list video. My last video was a tier list video on my favorite APS-C cameras and things like that. I can't do every lens in the world, but I'm gonna do my favorite APS-C lenses, so lenses for, the Sony a6000, 6100, and so forth, because we make, or I make videos about those cameras on this channel. I have 25 lenses on this list. Hopefully I can get through all of them if this intro isn't too long and I don't go too long about each lens. So let's just jump into it. S is the best, or the one that I like the best, and then all the way down to F, which I don't like the lens at all, or hate it, whatever you want to say. And disclaimer, just like the last video, is if you use some of these lenses that I don't like or something like that, that doesn't mean that they're terrible. This is just my opinion and everything like that. So don't take this video too seriously. It's supposed to be fun. So let's have some fun and talk about camera lenses. Oh, and also this is just autofocus lenses. It's basically, Sony, Sigma, Viltrox, Samyang. I think that's it. Maybe there's some others in there, but autofocus lenses only. Maybe we'll do a video on manual lenses. Let me know in the comments. All right, recording the screen, so let's get started. So I'm gonna kind of go in order of the pictures here, and hopefully if it's not too difficult, I'll put labels for each of these lenses when I move them up there. So the first lens is actually a lens that I haven't used. There's a couple lenses on here that I haven't used, but I'm gonna go off of what I've read about, what I've seen in videos, and all of those different sources of information, and also if I want it or not. So, it's going to be a crazy list here. So this is the Samyang 12mm f2, and it's an autofocus lens. The manual version of this lens, I'm pretty sure that they may be the same optically, but this one has autofocus. The build quality looks super nice. I'm going to go ahead and put this in B, because I've heard great things about the manual version, and I really want to try this version. It would make it great for, landscapes, even walk around photography with a wide aspect or a wide angle of view, and it would be great for astro, but autofocus isn't needed for that. But anyway, makes it more of a versatile lens, and I want it. So I'm going to put it in B. Okay, next is the well-known, awesome Sigma 16mm f1.4. I'm gonna put it in A, but I'm gonna think about if I want it in S tier. I've used this lens for dozens and dozens of videos on this very YouTube channel. Not using it right now. We'll talk about the lens I'm using later, but you know what? I gotta put it in S tier because Sigma really hit it out of the park with this lens. I've done a video review on the Sigma 16mm f1.4. Go check it out. But the lens is incredible. Yeah, it's just an incredible lens, and you can use it to vlog, landscapes, astrophotography, YouTube, all sorts of stuff. So goes in S tier. It has a little sentimental value with me, so goes in S tier. All right, next is the Sigma 30mm f1.4 as well. By the way, the Sigma lenses, they don't have OSS or image stabilization compared to Sony versions of these lenses, but Sigma 30mm f1.4, phenomenal lens. I've also done a review on this lens and a lens that is close to it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in B tier. Super solid lens. It was the first lens of the trio to come out from Sigma, so I feel like they improved things in the 16 and the 56. So I'm gonna put the Sigma 30 in B. It's a lens I recommend a lot to people getting their first prime lens after the kit lens. All right, next is a lens that I have been meaning to review. I promise, guys, the review is coming. I'm kind of getting back in the swing of things with YouTube lately. Sigma 56mm f1.4. Like I said, they made improvements after the 30mm version. The 56mm version, in my opinion, optically is the best out of the Sigma trio. It's amazing for portraits. It's amazing for even weddings. I've used this lens as a second shooter at weddings with my 6100. It's great. I'm gonna make a video on that. Stay tuned. Okay, next, this is the Sony, which one is this? Sony 20mm pancake lens, f2.8. I don't have this lens. I have the other pancake lens, which we'll talk about I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in D. I know, first lens that's getting a bad rating here. The reason why is I'm not super impressed with the 16mm f2.8, but I've heard this lens is very similar to that one, and honestly, I'm just not impressed with the other Pancake lens. I've seen reviews, they get pretty bad reviews in general. They're older. I don't think Sony put their best foot forward with these Pancake lenses, so I'm gonna put this one in D tier. All right, next is the infamous kit lens 16-50 Sony power zoom lens that comes with the A6000. If you don't get it with the kit lens, it's kind of a bummer because I think it's worth, the $50 that you have to pay when you add the kit lens on. I recommend that to everybody to start with the kit lens. It's a great starter lens. It's not the best lens in the world, and it actually, depending on who you ask, some people hate it and some people love it. I am one of those people that I love it. It's not, optically incredible, but it's great for vlogging, which is what I used it for when I started doing daily vlogs in 2016. And it's just great to get your feet wet with a kit lens of any camera, really. So I'm gonna put it in B tier because I recommend people getting the kit lens with the camera, and I don't think it's as bad as people put it out to be. I've taken awesome pictures with this, even landscape images and things like that. It's not as bad. Trust me, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. All right, next is one of, if not my favorite lens of all time. That's the Sony 35mm f1.8 OSS. So it has image stabilization. I'm gonna put it in S tier because for many months, this lens just did not come off my Sony a6000. It was the first prime lens I bought for my Sony a6000. I dropped like $450 for this thing. It's still expensive, but in my opinion, it's worth it. It is very light, it's small, and it's just a great lens, super sharp, and it's perfect for the Sony a6000 series of cameras, in my opinion. All right, next, which one is this? This is the 55-210. I'm gonna have to think on this for a second. I am going to put it, I'm gonna put it in C. It's optically not that great. It's sharper than I thought it was gonna be, but the colors aren't super great. I feel like straight out of camera with this lens on, and really the best things of it, I think, are that you can get it in a kit lens combo. So you can get the kit lens and the 55-210 with Sony a6000 for like 800 bucks, sometimes like that, or 850. And I think that's a great deal. You're always going to get stuck paying more if you buy the lenses separate. So if you have the budget, get the 2-lens set, and you can kind of start off with having this big wide range. And actually one of my most popular videos as of late in the past year or so was a review of this lens. So check that out if you're interested in it. It's not a bad lens, but comparatively to my favorites, I'll put it in C. Okay, next. Yeah, this is the Sony G 7350 variable aperture zoom lens that is only like 2 years old now. This is one of the newer autofocus lenses that Sony has put out for APS-C. It's a really good lens. In terms of my favorites, I'm gonna put it down in C tier. I had it on loan for like 2 weeks at one point from a Sony vendor, but I ended up doing a different video rather than reviewing this lens, and it's kind of telling. I don't use a lot of telephoto lenses, and I don't need the reach. I'm not a wildlife photographer. It is a really good lens, but it's also very, very expensive. So I think really just because of the price of it, I think it could come down just like a little bit, Sony. So I'm gonna put it in C. Not my favorite lens in the world, but to each their own. Okay, next, similar thing with the pricing, and this is the Sony 15, or yeah, no wait, god damn it, I forget. Okay, let me start over. Okay, next is the Sony 16-55 f2.8 G lens. So this is also, a higher elevated quality line of lenses, just like the last zoom lens. And it's f2.8 constant throughout, and it is really, really sharp. I've done a review on this lens. It's been a while since I've had it in my hands, but I just remember being very impressed with the G lenses, lens quality and things like that. this is definitely a lens that could be an all one-stop shop for somebody. If you've got the money, it is very expensive. It's over $1,000. I do think it goes on sale from time to time, but f2.8, it replaces the kit lens and some other lenses as well. So you could really buy this lens and a camera body out of the 6000 lineup and be set depending on what you need. So I'm gonna put it in B just because it's super expensive, and if you're fine with primes, you can get other lenses and, you know, save a little bit of money, but having one lens to rule them all is kind of nice. But I'm gonna put it in B in my preference list. All right, next is the Sony 10 to 18 millimeter, so it's a wide angle lens, f4. This has OSS as well. A lot of people say this is a great vlogging lens, but honestly, for the money, I think it's a waste of money. Some people love this lens, I know, but I just feel like I would rather use the kit lens and save hundreds of dollars and then get a different lens for another purpose. Hope that makes sense. I'm gonna put it down in D just because when I did get this on loan one time, it was unremarkable. Like, that's the one word that comes to mind all the time when I think about this lens, unremarkable. Just, you know, I don't know. I would rather have the kit lens and save some money. That's just my opinion. All right, next is this little guy. This is the lens that I have right here. This is the 16 millimeter. Let me put it for my face. 16 millimeter f2.8 pancake lens by Sony. I bought this used, and same thing as the last lens, unremarkable. You know, a lot of people have given bad reviews to this lens. It's not that much different than the 16 millimeter at f3.5 of the kit lens. It's really not that much different. I thought it would be, but it's not. So I'm gonna put it down in D. All right, next is the Sony 18 to 135 variable aperture zoom lens. Does, you know, the barrel does extend and everything like that, but I really like this lens. I did one of my favorite videos of all time, which is the Sony 18 to 105 f4 versus this lens. I really like this lens. Like, I really like it. I'm gonna put it in B. It's one of those where I wish it was out before. The 18 to 105, which is my fiance's lens, I've used that a lot and I like it, but I feel like if this lens was out, I maybe would have went with this one before, but just because it's lighter and it has a little bit more reach, and I wouldn't have needed a lens dedicated for video like the 18 to 105, but I really like that lens. I think it, you know, doesn't get enough love, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Maybe we're just gonna have a bunch of lenses in B tier, I don't know. Okay, this next one I've never used, and I thought it was discontinued, but it's on B&H's website for sale, so I'm thinking about doing a video on this one. Let me know. This is the Sony 18 to 200, so very wide zoom range. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in C because I feel like Sony made a great sleeper lens, I think. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna put it in C. It could be trash and go all the way down to F. I haven't used it yet, but it's still out there for sale. Thinking about making a video. Let me know if I should make one on it. All right, okay, this next one, some people might hate me for it. I'm not sure, but if you do, put a comment down there, I guess. Be nice, but, you know, maybe disagree with me. And that is the Sony 24mm f1.8. It's a Zeiss lens. It's super expensive. It's like $900 to $1,000 still, even, you know, not brand new. And I've just heard okay things about this lens. And frankly, if it's $1,000 for an APS-C camera, I'm expecting this thing to like blow me away. I've never really thought about buying this at all. I've checked like every Black Friday if there's going to be a deal. There's never anything crazy that's going on to even like tempt me to purchase this lens. So I'm going to put it in F. I feel like it's the most forgotten about lens because not a lot of people have it. But if you have it and you like it, let me know in the comments, please. All right, next is a lens that I've always wanted to try, and I think I just need to find it used and buy it. That is the Sony Macro 30mm f3. I think it's f3? 3.5? Okay, I just had to go check. It's f3.5. I don't know why I thought it was f3 for some reason. But anyway, this lens I've seen used by other people, some people I'm friends with on Instagram and things like that, and they get great results from this thing. It can also be used as a regular lens. It doesn't have to only be macro shots, which is great, and it's autofocus. I'm just going to put it in C because it's always been on my list, but there are other lenses that I want more than this lens. Plus, I have manual macro lenses that I like a lot. So I'm not sure where this one will eventually end up in my collection, or if it will end up in my collection at some point. I'm going to put it in C tier. Lots of love to this autofocus macro lens and what I've seen it, be capable of out there. But for me personally, I'm just going to put it in C. All right, next is, in my opinion, a little bit of a sleeper lens, and this is the Sony 50mm f1.8 OSS. I'm going to put it in B. I had this lens for a short time. One of you guys lent it to me, somebody I talked to on Instagram, and I did a video comparison of that lens and the Sony 35mm. I was stunned with the sharpness of the 50mm. The only thing is that 50mm, at least for me, and things I photograph, is a little less useful than the Sony 35. Sony 35 I would take with me everywhere. Like I said, it just barely came off my camera. 50mm, it's situational for me. But I love the pictures I took with it. I took one of my favorite pictures of my dog Sammy. I will put it on the screen here. And I really liked it, so I'm gonna leave it in the B tier. All right, the 18-105 f4. I have the lens right here. It is, a little chunky, a little heavy, but that's because the constant f4, and it has the power zoom toggle on it, much like the kit lens. So it's great for video and things like that, but I don't use it enough. And so yeah, I don't reach for it all of the time, and I don't use it really for my YouTube videos at all. So I'm gonna put it in C. It's a great lens. I definitely recommend it to people who are looking to do video, especially if you're doing like video outside in the daytime where you don't need to go below f4. And if you want a clean zoom with the power zoom, there you go, you have it. So I'm gonna put it in C tier just for my personal preference and uses. Okay, next is another one of these Sony Zeiss lenses, and that is the 1670 f4. I don't know if it's just I hate the prices and what they deliver on. I mean, the other one I've never used. I've never used the 24 f1.8. This one though, I have used the 1670 f4. In my opinion, just bleh. It's not worth the money. I just feel like maybe it's because other manufacturers like Viltrox and Sigma have made great autofocus lenses that are really fast. I'm like, why do I want something that's, hundreds more, that has this Zeiss blue label on it, and it's like, oh, we have the best optics, oh my god. And it's just not that great in my opinion. I tried this lens out for a little bit, didn't like it, don't use it, don't own it. So yeah, I just F tier. Just F tier, sorry. All right, next are two lenses I'm super excited about, and that is the Tamron 11-20 f2.8. I'm gonna put it in A tier because I feel like this lens, which it just came out like within the past month in June, I think, as of recording this video, and I really want it. I want to pull the trigger on it. It is expensive, but it's a nice focal range for, say, vlogging, street photography, landscapes, even astrophotography at f2.8. I'm really interested in this lens. I saw one review on it so far of somebody in Alaska using it, and it looked good, but I really want to get my hands on it, but I'm just not sure when because of the price. So I'm going to put it in A for right now because this is one of, if not the lens that I am the most excited about spending some money on. So A tier for that. Then the next one is the Tamron 17-70 f2.8. So it's at the end of the field of view for the 11-20 at 17, and then it goes all the way up to 70. I mean, I would be equally as excited about this one, but if I had to pick one of them to spend $800 on or so, I would get the 11 to 20 just because that's more of like my style, wide, up close, things like that. But the 70 to 70 could be a choice over the 16 to 55 f2.8 Sony lens that is well over $1,000. So it's very interesting lens. I'm so happy Tamron has just kicked the door down on faster zooms on the Sony APS-C bodies. Bravo, thank you Tamron. So I'm gonna put that in B. Okay, the next lens is, I believe, a much older lens. This is the Tamron 18 to 200 variable aperture lens. This could be very similar to that other Sony lens I was talking about earlier, the other 18 to 200. I'm not sure which one is better because I've never used them. I'm definitely interested, but I'm gonna put it in C. I didn't mention it, maybe I did, maybe I didn't with the other one. They could be very heavy because of that focal range and, you know, zooming out and things like that. They could be very top heavy with a smaller camera, but eager to try out things like that. But I'm gonna put it in C tier because it's not on the top of my list. Okay, the next three lenses, which I should have put them earlier in the video or mixed around, sorry about that, but they're the Viltrox autofocus lenses. I've done videos on two of these, one of which is on my camera. If you could guess which one, you win a prize. I don't know what you win, but it is the Viltrox 23mm f1.4, and that is this one. I'm putting that in A tier. I freaking love this lens. I use it to live stream when I'm on Twitch. I use it for videos like this now because it's just a little bit different than the Sigma 16mm. It doesn't bend my face as much, and yeah, I really love the colors of the Viltrox series of lenses. Just straight out of camera, I feel like the images are more pleasing than some of the other lenses out there. Love it, super fast, f1.4, A tier. Now the 33mm, in my opinion, is just a little bit under the 23mm. I still really like it. I've done a dedicated video on both of those, and I did a comparison video, which I was really stoked on, of the Sony 35mm, the Sigma 30mm compared to the Viltrox 33mm f1.4. Great lens, B tier. Then last but not least is the 56mm lens from the Viltrox series. I'm gonna also put this in B. So we have a lot of lenses in the B tier, but I really think a lot of these lenses deserve that. You know, they deserve to be up on the upper half of my favorites, and I'm gonna put the Viltrox 56 in there. Really great lens. It's not as good, I think, as the Sigma 56mm. I'm going to compare them though, and possibly a video. So stay tuned for that. I feel like I've said that a lot in this video. All right. Hopefully I went through that quick enough and this video isn't 30 minutes long. If it is, I apologize, but I love doing these like rankings. This is just my personal preference. A tier, Sigma 16mm f1.4 and the Sony 35mm f1.8. If somebody had a metaphorical gun to my head, it was like, hey, you have to pick two lenses out of all of the lenses that you own, I think those are the ones I would grab first. Then in A tier, a lens I'm really excited about is the Tamron 11 to 20mm f2.8. I'm just so excited about that one. And then, like I already said, the Viltrox 23mm f1.4 and the Sigma 56mm f1.4, just oof, awesome lenses. And then we have the B tier, which is like a crap ton of lenses. Some I don't have yet, some I've tested that I know and love. And then, you know, C, D, and then F, the Zeiss, a couple of the Zeiss lenses that I am just not a big fan of. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with this list? Remember, this is autofocus lenses for Sony APS-C. There are some other autofocus lenses out there. I left them off this list because they're weird or very old and things like that. I thought these were the major players to put on this autofocus APS-C list. All right, guys, but with that said, comment all the things down below. I love talking about lenses and things like that. And if you have an idea for another tier list video that you would like to see to do with cameras and things like that, hit me with it. Hit me with all the ideas. I have some of my own, but I would love to know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around, hanging out with me. As always, guys, I will see you in the next episode. Later.